We were living in Silver Spring. Yeah. Yes. Common misconception about me in D.C. A lot of people think I'm from the hood. That's not true. But I never bothered to correct anybody because I wanted the streets to embrace me. As a matter of fact, I kept it up as a ruse. Like sometimes I'll hang out with rappers like Nas and them, and these motherfuckers will start talking about the projects. Yo, it was wild in the PJs, yo. And I'll be like, word, nigga, word. But I don't know. I have no idea. My parents did just well enough so that I could grow up poor around white people. And to be honest, when Nas and them talk about the projects, nigga, I used to get jealous because it sounded fun. Everybody in the projects was poor, and that's fair. But if you were poor in Silver Spring, nigga, it felt like it was only happening to you. I know the pain of that first sleepover at a white friend's house. And you come back home on Sunday and just look at your parents like, y'all need to step your game up. Everything in Timmy's house works. Remember the first time you saw that? In a cold winter, and to be at a white friend's house and see the motherfuckers in their living room without their coats on? Timmy was one of my first white friends, like, in my life, man. He's a good dude, too. He moved to Silver Spring from Utah, of all places. I guess his family was affiliated with that Mormon church they got down there, and me and him used to hang out. And one day I was at his house, we were just hanging out, and Timmy says, Dave, why don't you stay for dinner tonight? I said, oh, man, I'd love to, but I can't. If I'm not home before dark, my mother will kill me. That was a lie. My mother had several jobs. I hadn't seen her in like 3 or 4 days. At that point in my life, it was my experience that white dinner wasn't delicious. I'd rather go home and fry some bologna or some shit like that. But then old Timmy threw me a curveball I wasn't expecting. He said, it's too bad you can't stay, Dave, because Mom made stovetop stuffing. I said, what the fuck? Stovetop? Well, hold on, nigga. Let me make some phone calls real quick. I had seen that commercial so many times. I had dreamt of getting my hands on some of that stovetop stuffing. And finally, I met a motherfucker that actually had a box of stovetop in the house. I couldn't miss this opportunity, so I pretended to call my mother. And then I came back and I said, Timmy, you're not gonna believe this great news. Mom said I can stay. And he said, fantastic. He said, why don't you come with me and we'll help set the table and then we can say the blessing. I had no interest in setting this motherfucker's table or saying these crazy-ass Mormon prayers. I just wanted that goddamn stuffing. My hands first. My plan was simple. Wash my hands slowly, and by the time I'm done, the table will be set, the blessing will be said, and all that there will be left to do is eat. Went to the bathroom. I washed my hands very slowly. I must have been in there for about 10 minutes. And suddenly, one of his mothers came to the door. She was like, hi, David, right? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, Timmy tells me that you're planning on staying for dinner. I said, I hope that's not a problem, ma'am. She says, no, it's no problem. In fact, we'd love to have you. It's just that we weren't expecting company. And I'm afraid there's not enough stovetop stuffing for everybody. So I kicked her in the pussy. Bam! Ladies and gentlemen, I told you I'm dope, nigga. I told you what I was gonna say and you still didn't see it coming. And that's why I make the big bucks. Oh my God. But there's a more important reason that I would stop doing comedy right now. And this reason is the real reason that's been percolating, and it really is the crowd, not you. I'm talking about the crowd on the big stage. It's too hard to entertain a country whose ears are so brittle. Motherfuckers are so sensitive, the whole country is turned into bitch-ass niggas. Everything you say upsets somebody. You know, I can remember when it all started. It was when I was doing Chappelle show. When I was doing Chappelle show, I used to do the show, and then on the weekends I do like concerts and shit like that. So I'm doing a concert, and there was a couple in the front row, beautiful couple. The wife was obviously Asian. You could see it in her face. The husband, this motherfucker was mysterious, to say the least. Couldn't quite pinpoint where he was from. Caramel-colored fella, very nice hair, but it could have been from anywhere. Bangladesh, Mexico. I can't guess with a nigga like this. All I knew for sure about this guy is that his wife was a bitch. I could see that in her face, too. No, he was laughing and having a good time, and she was scowling at me at a goddamn comedy show. I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized at some point that she was pregnant, and I was smoking on stage. I said, oh my God, that's probably why she's mad. So I started to put my cigarette out, but then she hit me with one of them fake non-smoker calls. So I just kept smoking. I thought to myself, bitch, that baby will be fine, relax. And I tried to break the tension. I just asked her. That's all I said. I go, hey, where are you guys from anyway? And I could tell that she was on to me. She goes, very condescendingly, she says, I'm from California. If you're asking my ethnicity, I am Chinese. He was like, I'm Mexican, bro. I said, well, I'm sorry if I offended you by asking, but you're a very beautiful couple. And miss, there's no question that you're going to give birth to the hardest working baby this world has ever seen. That's not a bad joke. She got very upset. She got up to leave immediately, but she didn't just leave. She had to take one last diggity on the way out. I will never buy one of your fucking DVDs again, Dave Chappelle. I said, ma'am, with all due respect, Chinese people don't buy DVDs. And the crowd went crazy. We were all laughing, having a good time. I didn't even think anything of it. And then just 3 days later, this lady sends a fucking letter to my promoter telling him not to book me for shows anymore because I was, quote, racist, and I'm quoting her, insensitive to the nature of my interracial marriage. I was like, word, bitch, I was. If she would know that I myself am in an interracial marriage. That's right. In fact, my wife is Asian too. Surprise, bitch, I'll see you on Thanksgiving. But my wife's not Chinese. She's Filipino. That's right. And our kids are Puerto Rican somehow, so there you go. But I don't give a fuck about interracial marriage. In fact, you know what? My mother is half white. A lot of people don't know that. Well, all right, you were a little too excited, but okay. A lot of people don't believe me when I say that, but it's true. You can't tell looking at me, but if I grew my hair out, you would think you was at a fucking Cat Williams concert. My shit is beautiful.
Don't like that. Normally I would have let it go, but I was drunk. I said, what might you mean, bitch? I was careful to call her a bitch because I didn't want to blow her cover. Turns out she wasn't hiding. She was loud, she was proud. She let me have it in front of everybody. Screaming at me, all the talking points from that article. You transphobic, this and that. Kept clapping her hands in my face. Let me tell you something. I said, we learned this from black bitches. Kept doing, let me tell you something, honey. So annoying. She kept calling transgenders her people. Isn't that weird? My people this, my people that. I said, what do you mean your people? Was y'all kidnapped in Transylvania and brought here as slaves? She said, my people have struggled for decades, honey. Decades. And I looked at them gay black dudes like, is there anything you niggas need to tell this bitch? Clifford. I'm exaggerating. She's actually a very nice person, and I'm cool with her now, but boy, that shit got on my nerves. And it got on my nerves because whenever someone says that to me, I know they've never seen me for themselves. They just repeat what they've heard. Any of you who have ever watched me know that I have never had a problem with transgender people. If you listen to what I'm saying, clearly, my problem has always been with white people. I have been arguing with the whites my entire career. And just when I thought I had you guys on the ropes, you changed all the rules. Oh, yeah? Yeah, motherfucker. Well, I'm a girl now, nigger, and you must treat me as such. Call me a girl, nigger. It's annoying as fuck. No. Go back tonight after the show. Watch every special I did on Netflix. Listen to everything I ever said about that community. I'll go through them. I said, how much do I have to participate in your self-image? I said, you shouldn't discuss this in front of black people. I said, I know niggas in Brooklyn that wear high heels just to feel safe. I asked you, why is it easier for Bruce Jenner to change his gender than it is for Cassius Clay to change his name? If you listen to what I'm saying, I'm not even talking about them, I'm talking about us, and they don't listen. It's very annoying. And they've canceled people that are more powerful than me. They canceled J.K. Rowling. My God, J.K. Rowling wrote all the Harry Potter books by herself. She sold so many books, the Bible worries about her. And they canceled her because she said in an interview, and this is not exactly what she said, but effectually, she said gender was a fact. And then the trans community got mad as shit. They started calling her a TERF. I didn't even know what the fuck that was. But I know that trans people make up words to win arguments. So I looked it up. TERF is an acronym. Stands for Trans Exclusionary Radical Feminists. This is a real thing. This is a group of women that hate transgender. They don't hate transgender women, but they look at trans women the way we blacks might look at blackface. It offends them. Like, ooh, this bitch is doing an impression of me. Now, I shouldn't speak on this because I am not a woman, nor am I a trans. But as we've established, I am a feminist. That's right. I'm Team TERF. I agree, man. Gender is a fact. You have to look at it from a woman's perspective. Look at it like this. Caitlyn Jenner, whom I've met, wonderful person. Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman. Ain't that something? Beat every bitch in Detroit. She's better than all of you. Never even had a period. Ain't that something? Oh, I'd be mad as shit if I was a woman. I'd be mad if I was me. If I was in a BET Awards sitting there and they're like, and the winner for Nigger of the Year, Eminem, my man. Gender is a fact. This is a fact. Every human being in this room, every human being on earth had to pass through the legs of a woman to be on earth. That is a fact. Now, I am not saying that to say that trans women aren't women. I am just saying that those pussies that they got, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's not pussy, but that's like beyond pussy or impossible pussy, you know what I mean? It tastes like pussy, but that's not quite what it is it? It's not blood, that's beet juice. Oh, buddy, I'm in trouble now. Before I go, I want to share this story with you because it's important to this point. I want your community to know that one of the coolest people I ever met was a transgender woman. And this is not a man that I knew that became a woman. This woman was trans when I met her. Lived in San Francisco. Daphne Dorman is her name. I would do 18 shows in the Bay Area, sometimes in Oakland and the Dirty Hood nightclub, and she would be there, a white trans woman, laughing loud and hard at everything I said, especially the trans jokes. It's very puzzling because she was obviously trans. And one night after one of the shows, I met her. And what it was, turns out, it was her dream to be a comedian, and I was her hero. It's very moving. I could not dislike somebody that felt that way about me. We became fast friends. And when I made that special Sticks and Stones, right as it was coming out, I happened to be in San Francisco and I wanted to do a show, but I needed an opening act. And I remembered that trans woman I'd met. So I called her on the phone. And I called her myself. I said, hey, Daphne, this is Dave Chappelle. She couldn't believe it. And I go, I'm in San Francisco. And then she started saying a bunch of wild stuff. I was like, relax now. I don't want any pussy. I was,
Occasionally, we're privileged to examine the craft of one of the acknowledged leaders of a generation. Tonight, as we reach the midway point of our 12th year, is such a night. Our guest has made us look at ourselves and laugh at ourselves in an array of films from Robin Hood Men in Tights to Getting In, The Nutty Professor, Con Air, Half-Baked, You've Got Mail, Blue Streak, and Undercover Brother. In television, he has brought his unique, hilarious perspective to Def Comedy Jam, Comic Relief, frequent guest appearances wherever comedy counts, and in his live concert performances, Killing Them Softly, For What It's Worth, and Dave Chappelle's Block Party. The groundbreaking show that bears his name has been honored with Emmy and Image Award nominations and broken every record for DVD sales of a television show. The Actors Studio is very proud to welcome Dave Chappelle.
Everybody's waiting to see how crazy I am. Huh? That's good.
For 11 and a half years, my job on this stage has been to trace for our students the journey that has resulted in the artist in that chair at this moment. It begins always logically at the beginning.
I'm sorry for
What
laughing.
you didn't know is that I'm really funny. And he appreciates me. Sometimes you don't. He does. Oh. Where were you born, Dave?
Washington, D.C.
What's your father's name?
William David Chappelle.
And your mother's?
Yvonne Reed Chappelle.
What were they doing in Washington when you were born? How did you happen to be there?
I have no idea. I know sex was involved. And then somehow, no, I'm just kidding. What were my, you know, it's funny. My mom and my dad are very educated people. My dad was doing some corporate. I think he was doing statistics.
In the course of this series, we've constructed an honor roll of impressive mothers. My research has indicated to me that your mother belongs in that number.
She's going to love this.
but I think she deserves that.
I do too.
What's her educational background?
She got a master's in divinity, a PhD in African American studies, and something else about some sociology. She's got a stack of degrees in the house somewhere.
Didn't she have a career in the Congo when Patrice Lumumba?
Yes, she worked for Lumumba. He hired her himself, and she worked there during the Civil War. She was there when he was assassinated.
What did your mother do when she returned to the United States?
She opened the Belinga Center at the Central State University.
This was in Ohio.
Yeah, in Ohio.
My research indicates that she established what may have been the first PhD program in black studies in 1974.
Yeah.
She was a pioneer.
Yeah, she was, and in a lot of ways, I think she still is.
You may know or may not know. She taught Lingala.
That I didn't know.
It's a Congo language. She taught it at Central State University. Did she share any of her linguistic gifts with you?
I barely speak English.
Your father also had an academic career.
Yes.
Where did he teach?
Antioch College. It's in Yellow Springs, Ohio. It's a real, hippie town.
Oh, it's a hippie college.
It's the hippie college.
Yes, it is.
Antioch, if you'll remember, is the school that had the sex policy. Ask every step of the way. May I kiss your breast?
Did you have any siblings?
I have two. I have a brother and a sister.
Where'd you go to elementary school?
Woodland Elementary, Silver Spring, Maryland.
With an academic environment at home, how did you do in elementary school?
Very poorly.
Why?
I never liked school from the first day. I just walked in there and said, I hate this place. I hate its guts. I hated school. And I know it's not good to say to students, but the way my mom introduced me to school was kind of traumatic, because she didn't tell me I was going. She's packing a lunchbox and all this stuff was happening, and I thought we was going for a walk. And then we walked into school, and she was like, I'm bouncing. I was just in there. And I cried, man, I cried. And these kids were just so mean and evil. I don't know if people remember their first day of kindergarten, but it was like, I felt like all these kids had met each other before, and I was the only one that didn't know anybody. And I got in a fight. This kid, I still remember his name, Paul. We were coloring it. He was coloring corn green. It really bugged me. And I told him that corn was yellow, and he started hitting me, and I was like, this is the coldest shit that's ever happened to me in my life. It was just like instantly life had changed.
So color was already an issue.
Color was an issue. You guys very good?
Did television play a role in your life when you were a kid?
I watched an incredible amount of television. Before I could tell time from a clock, I would tell it from a television. That I could turn on the TV and say, oh, this is on, it's 7:30. I watched so much TV, man. I was always like a escapist.
Yeah.
You know, I was the odd kid out. Like, I didn't tell you this about my first day in kindergarten. I peed in the nap time. I peed, which instantly set me apart from everybody. You can't do that. Right. But we were having juice. It got so good to me, and then I wasn't. And my older brother was like freakishly good-looking dude. You know, me, I mean, I'm all right. But, you know, everyone in my family was light-complected, except for me. And I'm telling you, from a young age, I noticed people were treating me different. But I didn't understand why they would treat me different.
Yeah.
And I do believe to this day that that had something to do with it. Excuse me.
One of the things you're not allowed to do on this show is to fake tears.
All right, I'm sorry.
This is inside the actor's studio. We don't fake tears here. It's still fake. What middle school did you go to, Dave?
Arthur E. Morgan Middle School, which no longer exists. And that's in Yellow Springs. It was, I guess, right after my last year in elementary school, my mom moved us, like before we lived right on the outskirts of Washington on the dividing line.
Yeah.
Then Mom moved us in the Northwest. We moved to D.C., man, and it was like the neighborhood was wild, and I was just at that age where I would want to start running the streets,
Right.
so to speak. So my mom sent my brother and I to live with my father in Yellow Springs.
I see.
4,500 people. Maybe now there's like 3,700 people in that town. So,
And all of them slightly different from the rest of the United States.
yeah. I mean, you know, it's a hippie town. My
Yeah.
dad at the time was involved in some like human rights group that was dedicated to ending racism. But it's a small town, so racism is a relative term. Hating black people would mean I hate like 25 people in the town. You know what I mean?
How old were you when your parents separated?
My parents split up when I was 2. And I don't remember them married.
What high school did you attend in Washington?
Duke Ellington School of the Arts. Well, first I went to Eastern High School for half of a school year. I transferred to Duke Ellington. See, this is the thing. When I came back from Ohio, like I left when I was like 10, almost 11. I came back when I was 13, going on 14. While I was gone, crack had come out. So I got like a before and after. It was like a crack bomb had gone off. Like D.C. during the crack epidemic was probably one of the worst cities in America. Definitely was the murder capital. My freshman year of high school, 560 kids my age murdered. It's heavy, man. You know, everybody I knew sold cracks. Only God knows how many people were smoking crack. And that made a real big impression on me. That and the fact that D.C. is a very segregated city, especially at that time. Statistically speaking, to this day, statistically speaking, there's not one poor white person in Washington. There's a lot of poor black people in Washington. So these are the things that I'm seeing, and I didn't like that shit, man. I didn't like going to Eastern. So I was going through a real tough time, man, like just readjusting. And my mom bought me this Time magazine with Bill Cosby on the cover, Cosby Inc. Me and the guy had a lot of stuff in common, like some of the quotes he would say. And I just remember, like after reading that stuff, I put it down, and it was like, I'm gonna be a comedian. And man, I'm telling you, I could see it so clearly. So clearly, man. This is it. I was so excited, I told my family, I have an announcement to make, I'm gonna be a comedian. You know, it was like real. Because I was always funny. I'm the youngest kid. You know, the youngest kid in the family usually plays that role of the tension breaker.
Right.
I was that dude. And that's when my mom suggested that maybe I go to a comedy club and check it out. Live comedy is the most incredible thing in the world to me. Like the first time you see a dude just standing there talking, and every joke he's saying just hitting, it was working. Every weekend I would go, I'd get a little money, and to the point they started knowing me, I'd just sit in the crowd and I'd just be watching. And then on Tuesdays they had an open mic, and I go on Tuesday to see why people weren't working. Weekends were to see why people were working. Tuesday I was figuring out what's wrong with these people. To watch a comedian bomb is one of the greatest things in the world. I love it. And then at that point, I was talking to a comedian after one of the shows, and the owner of the comedy club, and they were both saying, you know, if you want to be a good comedian, you got to take acting classes. And they didn't explain it. But after that, I went home and I said, Mom, I got to take acting classes. And that's how the Duke Ellington thing started.
That's a school of the arts, right?
Yeah.
And what did you study there?
Theater. The school was incredible. Classical acting, modern acting, improvisation, technical theater, script analysis, script writing.
Did you work while you were in school in Washington?
Yeah, okay. Let's run down the list. My first job summer, between 87 and 88 school year.
This is a tradition. The first person in the 11 and a half years of this series who ever smoked on stage was Sean Penn, and the students applauded him then. Tonight, you light up a cigarette, the students say, what do you got about cigarettes? You like cigarettes? They applaud when you smoke.
I don't know about y'all, but this shit is stressing me out. I feel like I'm confessing and stuff. There's certain things feel like I'm on trial in this one. Tell me about that thing. I mean, you know, I don't know. I was a child and it's all so wild, Mr. Lipton. All right, so, the first job, and remember, this is when people were making a lot of money selling drugs. $3.50 an hour. August, I had to dress up in a cookie costume. Not bullshitting, a cookie costume with chocolate chips and a big chocolate chip on my head, sweating. And I had to hand out flyers for this place called the Cookie Bag. When I started at Duke Ellington, it was like you go to school from 8 o'clock in the morning till at least 5 o'clock at night. So work stopped for a while. And then, you know, that nightclub thing kicked in.
Was your early comedy autobiographical?
Still don't talk about myself.
It isn't.
It's yes, but never directly. I don't want to give away my secret recipe. But originally my plan was I'll go to school, and then after I graduate, I'll start stand-up. But then I was like, I'm going to the club after school. It's Tuesday, so I'm going to go to that open mic night. I had been practicing with the candlestick in the mirror. I felt like I was ready. And I told my family I was going. Told my mom, you know, I'm going. I don't want you to come. I want to go by myself. It's something I got to do and whatever. So, of course, she shows up with my grandmother and my brother. The MC introduced me. I can remember the introduction. You know, folks, everybody's got to start sometime, and tonight is this young man's first time on stage. Who knows? Exactly what it says. Who knows? You may be witnessing the birth of a star. Please welcome Dave Chappelle. And I went up there, man, and I was scared. And I used to look at my feet when I started. And I said the first joke, looking down at my feet, and they laughed. And then I looked up like, holy. And then I looked back down at my feet and said, no. And after the set, you know, the crowd was going crazy. I think I did 2.5 minutes, but they were going crazy. I was 14, probably looked like I was 11. I was telling jokes about Jesse Jackson running for president and our spaceship landing in a black neighborhood. Because before I got on, I was scared, and I told my grandmother, like, you might hear me say some things that you might not want to hear your grandson say. And she said, just relax and do that shit. I said, whoa, I never heard that. So it went great. And then here's the kicker. So then I go to school the next day, you know, feeling like $1 million. And I go and I'm telling all the kids at school, guess what I did last night? Comedy club. Ripped, the crowd was going crazy, you know. And you know what they said? Cool. And it was the beginning of a dual life. By day, I was Clark Kent. And at night, I was Superman. You know, pretty girl in school might look at me and be like, oh, Dave, he's so funny, but I wouldn't date him. But at night, I'd date women your mother's age, if I wanted.
Did you move to New York to do some stuff?
Yeah. I said, I'm going to go to that Apollo and rip that mug. I went for the regular Wednesday amateur night. When I say I got booed off stage, I still remember that boo. I'd never been booed off stage before, but I just remember looking out and seeing like everybody booing, everybody. Even old people. I was like, who boos a child pursuing his dreams? Like, this is the meanest crowd in the world. And that sign went off, and that dude comes out tap dancing.
Sandman.
Sandman. I wanted to choke the shit out. I hate you. And that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Best thing, because before that time, I had never bombed, let alone got booed off stage. And bombing was horrifying. Nobody wants to bomb. Nobody, you know, when people say you do comedy, what happens if nobody laughs? I don't know. So that night was liberating because I failed so far beyond my wildest nightmares of failing that it was like, hey, they're all booing. My friends are here watching, my mom. This is not that bad. And after that, I was fearless. To get into the New York comedy circuit is a very closed circuit. And I got in all these clubs in like a week, 2 weeks. Like, that's just, the first pilot I did was called I'm the Man. And it didn't get picked up. It was real painful because I had experienced nothing but success. Took it like a bitch, man. I was really upset. And that's when I started smoking that weed, man. It just made me feel better, man. I'm not trying to tell kids to do that. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't tell anybody to do it, but that's how I dealt with my problems. And at the time, it was working out great, baby. I was smoking that weed. I'm just being real, you know. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of white kids, you got things accessible to you like therapy. We don't have that. We have liquor stores and weed.
You've called The Nutty Professor one of your favorite film assignments. Why?
I just remember the first day at work, and I'm walking on the set, and this fat dude comes up like, hey, man, you're real funny. I'm like, thanks. Oh, yeah, Eddie Murphy. He had that makeup on, and he knew my jokes. He started telling obscure jokes I did, like he knew them. And every day we would do takes, man. I mean, somewhere this footage exists, and when they say cut, I mean, those extras would be cheering. I mean, it was like me and Eddie we would dance, and Eddie would drop these jewels on me, you know, when we were working. He's a real wise dude. Seen a lot of Eddie Murphy. And he was the guy that was like, you got to start writing. He was like, the way you tell jokes, you think in pictures, and you can write. You should start doing it. And that was the big Nutty Professor breakthrough.
In The Nutty Professor, Dave plays a severely manic comic named Reggie Warrington, who uses his comic skills to humiliate Eddie Murphy as the hapless Sherman Klump. A lesson for this evening: comedy can be cruel.
Yeah. Somewhere there's a black professor watching this like buffoonery. But that made me laugh seeing that, because I remember when I said to who's titties land, and Eddie was like doing the Sherman, and he was drinking, and then I said it, and water shot out of his nose. And he said, I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting that. And that was the best feeling, like, to make Eddie Murphy break characters was very, to this day, man, forget the Emmy nomination, that was the best.
Who wrote Half-Baked?
It was me and Neil and Purple Haze.
Tell us about that writing process. How did you guys work?
I can't remember. I was high, man. I was high. The night before we had these series of pitch meetings, we were like, man, we don't have a story. And at the time, you know, I drank a little beer, so we drank some beer. Neil doesn't smoke weed. I smoked me some weed. And suddenly, we had this story, this weird story about killing a police horse and needing to raise money. And it was really weird the way it happened, man. But it was really inspired, Half-Baked. I liked smoking weed so much that I thought I should make a movie about this. And it was inspired, man. It was like, you know, it was inspired. When that script came out, me and Neil, we were hot as a pistol for a week. The script was way better than the movie.
Yeah?
Yeah, that script was dope.
Dave, who do you play in the movie?
Huh? I played Thurgood Jenkins.
Thurgood Jenkins.
Yes.
But that's only half the story. Who else do you play in the movie?
Oh, I played Sir Smoke-A-Lot.
One of my favorite scenes is the one that involves both Thurgood and Sir Smoke-A-Lot.
Very embarrassing, homie.
So I think it's a remarkable piece of acting. That's why I wanted to play it.
I'm sorry, man. For me, it's a little surreal being on the acting studio and just to see you like, and then you did Half-Baked.
When Martin Lawrence was in that chair, we talked about Blue Streak.
I love that dude.
He played a role in your life, I believe. How do you feel about him as a person, as an artist?
Martin Lawrence is the guy that showed everybody you can make it from D.C. to Hollywood. And I had a personal stake in his success. Every time he did something, it made me feel inspired and really good. And he was always real nice to me. He'd sit me down, "What's going on with you, baby boy? What? We'd talk about comedy, whatever." And, you know, when we did Blue Streak, we were promoting it, and Martin had a stroke. He almost died. And then after that, I saw him, and I was like, "Oh, my God, Martin, are you okay?" And he said, "I got the best sleep I ever got in my life." That's how tough he is. So let me ask you this. What is happening in Hollywood that a guy that tough will be on the street waving a gun, screaming, "They are trying to kill me"?
Yeah.
What's going on? Why is Dave Chappelle going to Africa? Why does Mariah Carey make a $100 million deal and take clothes off on TRL? A weak person cannot get to sit here and talk to you. Ain't no weak people talking to you. So what is happening in Hollywood? Nobody knows. The worst thing to call somebody is crazy, is dismissive. I don't understand this person, so they're crazy. That's bullshit. These people are not crazy. They're strong people. Maybe the environment is a little sick. Oh, I'm dropping dimes tonight. I've had a long year, Mr. Lipton.
We're on our way. What did you mean, Dave, when you described your father's death in 1998 as the beginning of a terrible decline?
I was 23 when I was doing Half-Baked. I was getting ready to turn 24. And I was going through all the things that a dude goes through when he goes from one level to the next. I was starring in a movie that I wrote. So things start getting crazy around you.
Yeah.
And my 24th birthday was coming on August the 24th, and I said, this is going to be a big one. And the morning that I turned 24, phone rang, and my sister was like, "Dad had a stroke." For the next year, I watched my father teeter on life and death. And it was just all this stuff, man. Like Dad was dying, the Half-Baked didn't come out the way I wanted it to come out. I was real upset about that because it was a real cool script. And then I saw it, I was like, "Hey, man, you made a weed movie for kids." And it wasn't for kids, the script, you know. It was all these things, so much pressure. Africa. Then I was in Ohio. I get a call on my cell phone from Hollywood. I'm like, "Hello, Hollywood." They're like, "Hello, Dave." They're like, "That pilot you did for Fox, looks like they want to pick it up. We need you to come out because they want to meet with you." And I was like, "Well, listen, I can't really come out right now. Got a real bad situation at home. Can we talk about this on the phone?" No, they would rather meet with you in person. But you know, like the horror that they turned us into, I jumped on that plane and left my father's bedside, which I regret to this day. And I went out and I sat with these people in this room. And if you can imagine a large circle of people, and I was 12 o'clock, the black dude. "Yeah, Dave, we really liked the show, but the pilot episode was about me getting booed off stage at the Apollo." They go, "But what are we going to do about it? I mean, there's not really any white people in it." I said, "Well, it's about the Apollo. It's not really white." "Well, we were thinking about the girl on the show. We didn't think she was that funny, not that good looking. think we should recast her. Maybe, and they start using terms like universal appeal. Basically saying they want me to recast a girl with a white woman. I said, yeah, I don't think I can do this, and I quit. On the cover of Variety, Chappelle pulls the race card. The race card. And I get calls from Newsweek, 60 Minutes. Everybody, we want your story. Now I'm scared to death. I'm like Rosa Parks or something. I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I was just venting a little bit. And then, a few months later, Dad dies. And that's hard for a young dude in his life. That's a real tough loss. I was there when he died. And he went from being my father to what are we going to do with the body? Within moments, it was over. And I'm going through all this stuff, and this is the guy I would usually talk to, right? Dad. And I got to figure this out for myself. I don't want to figure this out for myself. You know, I was beat down. I wasn't living right. You know what I mean? Like, the weed thing was just a bad habit at this point. And you know what I mean? All these, you know, chicken head girls you mess with when it comes with the territory. I'm just being real. Just being real. Just wasn't living right, man. I didn't feel good. And the stand-up stuff was just some angry stuff. It was just like I was kind of bottoming out. But when my dad died, because I've been commuting back and forth to Ohio so much, that's when I bought the farm, which I called the f***you Hollywood farm.
Did you stay in Yellow Springs for a while?
I live there to this day. I live there to this day. I'm raising my kids there. Look, man, at that point in your life, it's something so real in contrast to what Hollywood is, a very powerful illusion. And when your dad died, it kind of just broke the spell, like, oh, this is bullshit. Look, I've been spending so much time doing this. What about my family? What about my friends? Wait, whatever happened to my friends? Damn, I don't even have any friends. Ugh. So I bounced, man. The New Year's Eve, 1999, I moved into that farm, and that was it. As far as I was concerned, I was done with show business.
The comedians I've worked with over the years often don't laugh at jokes. Can you be amused by your own work, by other people's work?
I love my jokes.
Good.
Some jokes, like, you know, I got this real immature streak where I write a lot of scatological humor.
So I've heard.
You know. But a good joke will just never, they last, they hold up. I just like having fun. When I'm on stage, I get real happy up there. Like, maybe that's the only time in my adult life that I feel like myself. You're standing up there, you know what I mean? Like a gladiator. And them lights is on you, and you look down, and everyone's looking up at you like. And it's just all these smiles around you, and they get dressed, and they put perfume on and stuff, and they're going to see your show. That feels good, man. These people, you know, they love you. Even if it's for a minute, they really do. They love you, man. You know, it's like it's a love fest.
Good feeling.
Yeah, it's the best feeling, man. I love stand-up.
In 2000, you taped a concert for HBO.
Yes.
Called Killing Them Softly.
Killing Them Softly.
To borrow a comedian's term of art, Dave killed in that concert. The setup for this is that his limo driver says he's got to stop somewhere. So he stops in the ghetto. And it's Dave in the ghetto in a limo.
Yes.
Huh?
He gets it. That's it.
But the thing is that you do exactly what a honky would do in the ghetto. You lock the doors,
exactly
right? So you have ambivalent feelings. You're drawn to it, and you're.
And I'm afraid. Listen, man. Black people don't like the ghetto.
Like you and me, you mean?
Yeah. Nobody wants to live in the ghetto, but the joke is so dope. Man, I got.
You know, when I was growing up, I was probably about 8 years old, and at the time, we were living in Silver Spring. Yeah. Yes. Common misconception about me in D.C. A lot of people think I'm from the hood. That's not true. But I never bothered to correct anybody because I wanted the streets to embrace me. As a matter of fact, I kept it up as a ruse. Like sometimes I'll hang out with rappers like Nas and them, and these motherfuckers will start talking about the projects. Yo, it was wild in the PJs, yo. And I'll be like, word, nigga, word. But I don't know. I have no idea. My parents did just well enough so that I could grow up poor around white people. And to be honest, when Nas and them talk about the projects, nigga, I used to get jealous because it sounded fun. Everybody in the projects was poor, and that's fair. But if you were poor in Silver Spring, nigga, it felt like it was only happening to you. I know the pain of that first sleepover at a white friend's house. And you come back home on Sunday and just look at your parents like, y'all need to step your game up. Everything at Timmy's house works. Remember the first time you saw that? In a cold winter, and you'd be at a white friend's house and see the motherfuckers in their living room without their coats on? Timmy was one of my first white friends, like, in my life, man. He's a good dude, too. He moved to Silver Spring from Utah, of all places. I guess his family was affiliated with that Mormon church they got down there, and me and him used to hang out. And one day I was at his house, we were just hanging out, and Timmy says, Dave, why don't you stay for dinner tonight? I said, oh, man, I'd love to, but I can't. If I'm not home before dark, my mother will kill me. That was a lie. My mother had several jobs. I hadn't seen her in like 3 or 4 days. At that point in my life, it was my experience that white dinner wasn't delicious. I'd rather go home and fry some bologna or some shit like that. But then old Timmy threw me a curveball I wasn't expecting. He said, it's too bad you can't stay, Dave, because Mom made stovetop stuffing. I said, what the fuck, stovetop? Well, hold on, nigga, let me make some phone calls real quick. I had seen that commercial so many times, I had dreamt of getting my hands on some of that stovetop stuffing. And finally, I met a motherfucker that actually had a box of stovetop in the house. I couldn't miss this opportunity, so I pretended to call my mother. And then I came back and I said, Timmy, you're not gonna believe this great news. Mom said I can stay. And he said, fantastic. He said, why don't you come with me and we'll help set the table and then we can say the blessing. I had no interest in setting this motherfucker's table or saying these crazy ass Mormon prayers. I just wanted that goddamn stuffing. My hands first. My plan was simple. Wash my hands slowly, and by the time I'm done, the table will be set, the blessing will be said, and all that there will be left to do is eat. Went to the bathroom. I washed my hands very slowly. I must have been in there for about 10 minutes. And suddenly, one of his mothers came to the door. She was like, hi, David, right? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, Timmy tells me that you're planning on staying for dinner. I said, I hope that's not a problem, ma'am. She says, no, it's no problem. In fact, we'd love to have you. It's just that we weren't expecting company. And I'm afraid there's not enough stovetop stuffing for everybody. So I kicked her in the pussy. Bam! Ladies and gentlemen, I told you I'm dope, nigga. I told you what I was gonna say and you still didn't see it coming. And that's why I make the big bucks. Oh my God. But there's a more important reason that I would stop doing comedy right now. And this reason is the real reason that's been percolating, and it really is the crowd, not you. I'm talking about the crowd on the big stage. It's too hard to entertain a country whose ears are so brittle. Motherfuckers are so sensitive, the whole country is turned into bitch-ass niggas. Everything you say upsets somebody. You know, I can remember when it all started. It was when I was doing Chappelle's show. When I was doing Chappelle's show, I used to do the show, and then on the weekends I do like concerts and shit like that. So I'm doing a concert, and there was a couple in the front row, beautiful couple. The wife was obviously Asian. You could see it in her face. The husband, this motherfucker was mysterious, to say the least. Couldn't quite pinpoint where he was from. Caramel-colored fella, very nice hair, but he could have been from anywhere. Bangladesh, Mexico. I can't guess with a nigga like this. All I knew for sure about this guy is that his wife was a bitch. I could see that in her face, too. No, he was laughing and having a good time, and she was scowling at me at a goddamn comedy show. I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized at some point that she was pregnant, and I was smoking on stage. I said, oh my God, that's probably why she's mad. So I started to put my cigarette out, but then she hit me with one of them fake non-smoker calls. So I just kept smoking. I thought to myself, bitch, that baby will be fine, relax. And I tried to break the tension. I just asked her. That's all I said. I go, hey, where are you guys from anyway? And I could tell that she was on to me. She goes, very condescendingly, she says, I'm from California. If you're asking my ethnicity, I am Chinese. He was like, I'm Mexican, bro. I said, well, I'm sorry if I offended you by asking, but you're a very beautiful couple. And miss, there's no question that you're going to give birth to the hardest working baby this world has ever seen. That's not a bad joke. She got very upset. She got up to leave immediately, but she didn't just leave. She had to take one last dig at me on the way out. I will never buy one of your fucking DVDs again, Dave Chappelle. I said, ma'am, with all due respect, Chinese people don't buy DVDs. And the crowd went crazy. We were all laughing, having a good time. I didn't even think anything of it. And then just 3 days later, this lady sends a fucking letter to my promoter telling him not to book me for shows anymore because I was, quote, racist, and I'm quoting her, insensitive to the nature of my interracial marriage. I was like, word, bitch, I was. If she would know that I myself am in an interracial marriage.